Our Advent scripture reading begins with a reading from the Gospel of Luke, chapter 21, verses 25 to 36. This is from the Message version of the Bible. It will seem like all hell has broken loose. Sun, moon, stars, earth, sea, in an uproar, and everyone all over the world in a panic. The wind knocked out of them by the threat of doom, the powers that be quaking. And then they'll see the Son of Man welcomed in grand style, a glorious welcome. When all this starts to happen, up on your feet, stand tall with your heads high. Help is on the way. And he told them a story. Now look at the fig tree, any tree for that matter. When the leaves begin to show, one look tells you that summer is right around the corner. The same here. When you see these things happen, you know God's kingdom is about here. Don't brush this off. I'm not just saying this for some future generation, but for this one too. These things will happen. Sky and earth will wear out. My words won't wear out. But be on your guard. Don't let the sharp edge of your expectation get dulled by parties and drinking and shopping. Otherwise, that day is going to take you by complete surprise, spring on you suddenly like a trap, for it's going to come on everyone, everywhere at once. So whatever you do, don't fall asleep at the wheel. Pray constantly that you will have the strength and wits to make it through everything that's coming and end up on your feet before the Son of Man. I don't know about you, but this particular assigned lectionary reading for the first week of Advent is not what I expected to hear. All hell is broken loose, and signs in fig trees, and be on your guard. What is all this? What is all this? Where's the Christmas story? It's Advent. Okay, now, I realize, and you probably realize too, that the Christmas story begins not on Christmas Eve. It begins these weeks in advance. And the story itself of Jesus coming is because the world is dark. The world is without Christ. The world is, in bad shape. And God responds, you see, by sending Jesus, the light of the world. Yeah. Still, this is not what I expected. I remember reading this going, I have to preach on that? I guess we know that the Christmas story includes much more than the narration of a baby being born in Bethlehem. We know that it's more than that. Advent is about God fulfilling God's promises. Yep. Promises that may be really old. They were back there quite a ways in history, but the promises were still there. It was to bring justice, righteousness, redemption. Yeah. Advent is of such significance, okay? It is so significant that the entire cosmos reverberates with signs, is what Luke is getting at here. And it is shaken. The whole cosmos, the whole world is shaken when it happens. Oh yeah, that God comes to us. That's a certainty. That is certain, okay? But when and how remain in question. We may think we know, but do we really know? I think both the Gentiles to whom this gospel, written by Luke, those Gentiles to whom he is writing, and also the Jews of the day in that area, probably had some adjusting of how they were expecting things to take place. They had some adjusting to do also, because Jesus was not, remember, exactly what they expected of a Messiah. He was not exactly what they were hoping for. It was most likely expected that their newborn king would be born into riches, like other great kings were born into riches. It was expected probably that their future Messiah would rule like the other kings of the world were ruling. It was expected that their hope would take place in someone who would rule for a long, long time. Therefore, the people back then did not expect their Messiah to be lying in a manger at his birth, did not expect him to be ruling from, like the back of a donkey on Palm Sunday, and they certainly did not expect him to be crucified after only 3 years of public leadership. They did not expect God to answer their prayers in this way, and therefore they were not alert to other possibilities. Yeah, their hope was real, and their hopes were going to be fulfilled, but their hopes were not going to be fulfilled in the ways they expected. So what are you hoping for this Christmas? Remember, the ancient Hebrews were hoping for a Messiah to restore the glory days of like those with King David. And I'm wondering, are some of us hoping for Jesus to restore to us some form of idolized past as well? What if God has something completely different in store, intended for us? Something even better than before. We think we know the story of what to expect going forward. We expect everything to revert back to the best that it was instead of changing. We expect everything to maybe be the same, and because we think we know what to expect, we are no longer then alert. We're not alert. We're not looking for our Messiah, our Emmanuel, our God with us. We're not looking for him to be anything but what matches our expectations. Once there was a man whose life was one of misery. The days were cloudy, and the nights were long. Henry didn't want to be unhappy, but he was. And with the passing of the years, his life had changed. His children were grown, the neighborhood was different, the city seemed harsher. He was unhappy. He decided to ask his minister what was wrong. Am I unhappy for some sin I've committed? Well, yes, the wise pastor replied, you have sinned. And what might that sin be? Ignorance, came the reply from the pastor. The sin of ignorance. One of your neighbors is the Messiah. The Messiah in disguise. And you have not seen him. Well, the old man left the office of the pastor quite stunned. The Messiah is one of my neighbors? And so he began to wonder whom it might be. Tom the butcher. No, he is way too lazy. Mary, my cousin down the block. No, she's got too much pride. Aaron, the paper boy? He's just too indulgent. I don't know. The man was confounded. Every time everyone he knew had defects, shall we say, shortcomings. But one of them was the Messiah, he was told. And so he began to look harder for him. That's when he began to notice things he hadn't seen. The grocer often carried the sacks to the cars of the older ladies. Oh, maybe he's the Messiah. The officer at the corner, always had a smile for the kids. Could it be him? And the young couple who just moved in next door? Well, how kind they were to their cat. Maybe it's one of them. With time, he saw things in people that he had never noticed. And with time, his outlook on life began to change. The bounce returned to his step. His eyes took on a friendly twinkle. And when others spoke, he listened. After all, he might be listening to the Messiah. And when anyone asked for help, he responded. After all, this might be the Messiah asking and needing assistance. The change of attitude was so significant that someone asked him why he was so happy. I don't know, he answered. All I know is that things changed. Things changed when I started looking for God. Now that's curious. The old man saw Jesus because he didn't know what he looked like. And the people in Jesus' day missed him because they thought they did. How are things looking in your neighborhood? I thank Max Lucado for this short little story from one of his books called Our Incredible Savior, Celebrating the Majesty in the Manger. But there are other ways to look at this whole issue for week one of Advent. Another way is to look at one of the classic Christmas carols that are out there, Angels from the Realms of Glory. Many of you might know that. In case you don't worry, I'll just give you the verses as we go. It was composed by someone named James Montgomery, a deeply devoted, noble Englishman of the 1800s. So let's just take a look at these. What does he write? What are the words? What do they mean? Because sometimes Again, we are not alert to what it is saying as the song just goes by on our radios and players. So here's the first verse. Angels from the realms of glory, wing your flight over all the earth. Ye who sang creation's story, now proclaim Messiah's birth. So you've got angels, the souls that are alive for eternity. You've got realms, the kingdom, the sphere, the domain of what? Of glory. Realms of glory. Glory is what? Praise and honor, thanksgiving, splendor. I particularly like this one. It's the blessed happiness of heaven. So if you had to rewrite that whole first line, you'd say, souls from the kingdom of blessed happiness are singing. Oh yeah. They sang at the wonder and creation of creation. They sang at the wonder and awe of creation, and they are singing now again. How unexpected. Unexpected that the birth of the Messiah is at the same level as creation itself. At first there was life, and now there is new life. Is where this story begins. And then we have shepherds in the fields abiding, watching o'er your flocks by night. God with us is now residing. Yonder shines the infant light. So I ask you this, who are the first ones usually to hear significant news like this? Who are the first ones? Leaders, people of significance, of course. The ones with connections, maybe the ones with money, the ones with time to get this and stay in touch. But get who hears this first. The ones at the very bottom of the socioeconomic ladder. And they're the shepherds. They're at the end of the dirt road, the end of the communication line, the ones pulling the third shift, cleaning up the aisles at Walmart in the wee hours of the night. How unexpected that the good tidings of great joy started with the people who usually hear things like this last. But the song goes on. Sages, leave your contemplations. Brighter visions beam afar. Seek the great desire of nations. Ye have seen his natal star. Sages were, of course, the wise ones. We often think of them as the three kings of the East. They were astrologers and men of learned. The message is not just to the poor either. This is a song saying, but it is also to the rich and the educated as well. And there are stars, especially an unexpectedly bright star. A sign in the heavens. And the sign is what God is doing. It's God's activity. How unexpected that sages and studious ones, these thought leaders, are told that now is not the time for study or for contemplation, as the song sings. No, rather, now is the time to put your reference books and your star charts aside and leave your studies behind and get out there and be alert to where God is alive right now in the world. Follow that one star. Don't just sit there studying it. Wow, where are we expecting to find the spirit of Christmas? Is it in books? Is it in online somewhere? Is it in shopping malls and church sanctuaries? Does it have to be right here? And the sanctuary has to be right here, huh? Yeah. In traditions which maybe they're not even happening anymore. Is that where you think God is going to be showing up? It's all gone. The Spirit is gone because the children have grown and there's no more Spirit in the house. No, leave that aside. Be alert, as the song is saying. Be alert. You may need to leave your desk and your established ways behind. Maybe things have to be different now, but there are new signs of God's activity all around if you are alert to see them. And finally, you have these words, saints, before the altar bending, watching long in hope and fear. Suddenly the Lord descending in his temple shall appear. Saints, believers, followers, us? Oh, maybe it's talking right to us here. And he's going to appear where? In his temple. In his temple. Where? Where is the temple? Is it the temple in Jerusalem? No. It got to be in some big church building, right? National Cathedral in Washington, maybe even a Church of the Resurrection, Basilica of Rome. Where is he going to appear? No. Not there either. I mean, we can pray at our altars of these great places, these great, inspiring, well-built churches, all we like. But the Lord is suddenly appearing somewhere else. Where? In the temple of each humble heart, the temple within each of us. And so in these days, 2024, days of political change, of racial unrest, of rampant diseases that are still around the world, and global warming, all these things, we need to make sure that we are alert, so that our candles of hope remain lit and intact. This needs to be a hope which souls from the kingdom of blessed happiness are going to be singing everywhere. This needs to be a hope that is good news for all people, and which may be heard first by those who live at the bottom of our socioeconomic ladders. This needs to be a hope that calls us to leave our usual places of contemplation and seeks out whatever and wherever God is showing up and is active. Advent means waiting. But we should be waiting for more than the return of the good old days of being together, or of waiting to open presents on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, or waiting for exactly what we expect Christmas to be. We are hopefully waiting for something bigger and better, that promised reality when eternal peace comes to the world. Advent awaits the realms of glory on earth as it is in heaven. And so, in conclusion, just as the angels and the shepherds and the wise ones all bowed their knees in worship of an unexpected baby in a manger, may we respond in a like manner with hope, eternal hope, burning strongly within each of our temples. Yeah, be alert to the unexpected, for the Messiah is near. And therefore be ready that at a moment's notice to do as that song then says in every verse. Come and worship. worship Christ, the newborn King.